All right, this get up here is kind of precarious. Just in front of me here is a piece of manuscript paper with some notes on it. In front of me is my Arturia, and it is actually connected into the Korg Volca FM here. And I thought what I would do is talk through some of the early stages of the compositional process. I have it in my mind to write a set of pieces that I can play with this getup, with the Volca FM and the keyboard here. And I'm definitely inspired by the kind of music that I listened to a lot when I was much younger. Wendy Carlos Williams, Bach arrangements, big like Jean-Michel Jarre, keyboard-oriented synth stuff. It's very different from what you can see behind me, which is my more drony, experimental-oriented Eurorack getup. But I'd mentioned in a couple of recent videos how much I love this Volca FM. Full disclosure, it's running through the what's it called? The microcosm hologram. But I'm really, right now I've just got just a little bit of reverb on there. So the idea then, 15 short pieces, 2 to 3 minutes a piece, like the Bach inventions. And I sort of have it in mind also to record those pieces with this same getup, like really get my fingers moving and record the Bach 2 and 3 part inventions with some beautiful sound design. And in fact, maybe in the next video, I'll talk a little bit about the sound design that I've done for these patches. I'm using something called, can't remember what it's called, Patch Center. It's a Mac OS interface to the Volca, the FM. Allows me to tweak the algorithms with a nice visual interface instead of faffing around on the little box. Excuse me. Right. So I've got these kernels of ideas, and I've got half a dozen of them that are my initial take on the sound that I've created, and maybe the gesture that's implied by that sound. So I started with sound design. I came up with 15 patches that I really like, that I think have a lot of potential. I loaded them into the Volca using that interface. It's very, very cool. And then I started improvising. And when I came up with an idea that I liked, I notated it. So there's 2 on this page. This is the first idea. This is the second idea. This is the 6th idea, 7th and 8th. Right, you can see how they are all a couple of measures, or I like to think of them as the articulation of a gesture. That now what I'll do is I'll come back and play through that gesture, and it will imply the corresponding follow-up. I don't start anymore with a large idea mapped out. I may have some suppositions about how I want a piece to go in terms of size, maybe some general strategy around development, but even that is entirely open for change depending on how the ideas unfold. I'm going to talk a lot more about this because I read a book by the novelist George Saunders, and the book is his reading of 4 short stories, and how to analyze a short story, how to look at a short story as a reader, but also as a writer. And one of the things that really has changed my approach to composition in the last year is his approach to writing. Is you write something, you write it as well as you can, and then when you come back to it the next time, something will need to be changed. The direction that someone is looking in will need to change, or the ambient temperature of the room will need to change. Something will need to change, and so you'll change it. And then there may be a second or a third section that you've been working on, a sentence or paragraph or a chapter. And as these things become more and more evolved, the relationships between them become clearer and clearer. And maybe the sequence will change entirely. Maybe some of it will get X'd out completely. But the idea of approaching the work that was done the previous day with a question, says, what next? And applying this at the smallest scale, in his case with words and syntax, in my case with pitches and articulation, up through the end result, whether it's a short story or a novel, or in this case 15 shortish pieces, or a 3-hour opera. I have decided that I want these to be 15 shortish pieces, but that's as far as I've decided right now. Some of them may be a minute, some of them may be 3 minutes. Some of them may be a single idea that's stated. Some of them may require an ABA form, idea, opposing idea, restatement of the idea. Those are the kinds of questions that these kernels will answer as I approach them. I think it's unlikely that I will change the sounds themselves. I'm kind of setting that as a constraint, that I did some sound design, I came up with sounds that I like. Now this is my instrument, and what am I going to do? And I guess the other constraint is the 15 pieces. Each piece will use one of the patches. I'm not going to overlay. I'm not going to do any. I'm looking for things that I can play as if it were a harpsichord or a piano, and whatever patch I've chosen is the patch for that piece. So that's an important constraint. I'm not going to be switching timbres during the piece for these. I want to put that constraint on. It would be quite beautiful for a different piece to split my keyboard. I don't know how to do that, but if I imagine there's a way to have one sound in the lower part, another sound in the upper part, I might need 2 Volcas to do that. So the first idea, and look, whether this stays the first, I'm still calling them inventions, but they're really more like orders. They're like the Couperin Livre des Ordres that he wrote for the clavecin. They are sequenced in their final version, but as I'm writing them now, will this be the first piece? Maybe, I don't know. It's got a nice opening feel, right? So this particular patch on the has a really nice low rumble, or low presence. It's not really a rumble, it's a low presence, and quite a nice sound up there. And in fact, I probably did something like that. Now that kind of gesture is very characteristic to my style of composition. The difference between a 2 or a something that I always find myself returning to, the appoggiatura that occurs before the beat, as opposed to the accacciatura that occurs on the beat. That's not the right term, but you know what I mean. Is it? I don't know. It's not very useful in this particular sound because it's got such a delay onset. You need something that's very tight. But this nice. So I really liked the high and low sounds, and I thought to combine the two in this parallel motion. bit here. You can see the parallel motion. The other aspect of this sound is that it really changes over time. So the music on paper is very, very simple because a lot of the piece in this case is the sound design. So I'm trying to write something that emphasizes the aspects of the sound. I'm not in other pieces. There's a lot more finger stuff because the sounds call for that. In this case, the challenge will be to get the and then I do it again. But here I add in right. So that's A. Right? Now maybe this is A prime. Hear that? It's more like the tenor version instead of down here. Now I'm playing up here, so I've got and then I made a note here, pianissimo, because and that's as far as I've written. Now maybe what calls out for is something, you know, you've got this wide-ranging timbre. Maybe now I just played. Maybe a sequence. In fact, I kind of like that. So I'm going to put here plus sequence. And then back up to the top. So if I've done this, now so something like that, and then back to the beginning. And then that, because it's a slow moving piece that's really taking advantage of the sounds, that may be it. I mean, if I take a quick look here at Invention 2 down here, it's a very different sound. In fact, I should remember that. So what I started with is this. How would I notate that? I will just say finger twitches plus static. That's a clue to remind me to come back and figure out so this may be a piece that's also got A-B, like A. Yeah, maybe this is too simple. You got Yeah, it's okay for the first time, but then maybe I want it to be. In fact, I'm going to note that. Enhanced rhythms. And then accents, because I noted. So I keep hitting the microphone. I noted then that the accent has a nice. So maybe then my question about tempo is I start off slow. Yeah. And then. Something like that, right? Anyway, so more to come on the sound design, because it's an important part of these pieces. And as you can imagine, I'm not meticulous. I'm exploring the sounds, and then when something sounds good, I save it. I don't really know what I'm doing a lot of the time. I'm just trying it out. And then as I go through more of these pieces, perhaps I'll just check in every once in a while with this sort of from the hot desk type of thing. So in the meantime, let me know if you have any questions, comments in the video. Like, subscribe. There's a ton of stuff here. This kind of stuff, notes on meditation. I have an ongoing series about Messiaen that is really great. So subscribe and share with all of your music and meditation buddies. In the meantime, keep your wits about you.